Hai fashion lover, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Evelyn and good morning, good afternoon, good evening. When Jenny King showed up at the 2025 Met Gala in this dreamy, Chanel-inspired masterpiece, my jaw
Wow.
on the floor. And then I thought, what if I try to sew it myself? No store-bought tubes, no shortcut, just me, my sewing machine, and my old closet wardrobe. And of course, a lot of ambition. Let's do this. Stick around to see the full transformation and whether I totally nailed it or I completely failed it.
Let's break down Jenny's Met Gala 2025 look. She wore an off-the-shoulder structure corset with subtle boning, embellished with pearls and tiny camellia appliques. So Chanel. The skirt, a float silk charmeuse with a daring slit and a sheer overlay. Soft glam makeup completed the vibe. Here's my plan. I'm going to draft the pattern myself. Sew the corset from premium scuba fabric and a black overskirt using my old tablecloth as I used to run a party cake service business. My size is M and my head is 160 cm. It is standard Asian size. You can use my pattern directly if we get the same size. If your size is small, reduce 1 cm at the side of the bodies, front and back, downward. And vice versa, if your size is L, add 1 cm at the side of the bodies, front and back, downward. Split according to the arrow. Next stop, Fabric Goldmine. Heading to my favorite local fabric store to hunt down the perfect materials to match Jenny's look. I'm looking for something structured but still elegant for the corset. And I also need a little stretch for it to hug my body perfectly. Let's see what treasures I can find. Before we start cutting, I'm laying my black scuba fabric flat on the floor. This fabric has a smooth texture and a bit of stretch, so it's important to make sure there are no wrinkles or folds. I always double check that the fabric is perfectly aligned. The grain should run straight, especially with scuba, so the garment keeps its shape. Now that it's nice and smooth, we are ready to place our pattern pieces on top. It's time to pin everything down. This step is key to making sure your cuts are clean and accurate, especially with scuba fabric, which can be a bit tricky. If the pattern calls for cutting on the fold, go ahead and fold the fabric, aligning the selvages carefully. Scuba has a bit of body to it, so take your time to get it smooth. Make sure the pattern lies completely flat against the fabric. Alright, everything's pinned and ready to go. In the quiet of creation, every mark matters. Every movement of the hands leaves behind something more than just a pattern. It's a blueprint for something greater. Tracing the outline, you leave behind a ghost of the design. The paper transmits what the eye has imagined. And with every line, the fabric begins to tell its own story. A thread of memory, a sketch of possibility. It's not just about the form. It's about the patience required to make it real. The fabric won't reveal its true shape until the last line is drawn, until the final stroke. The foundation has been laid. Now the true work begins. Every cut begins with trust. The fabric awaits the knife's edge, ready to reveal its final form. A simple snip is more than just an action. It's the moment the vision becomes tangible. The fabric gives way with each careful incision, the design unfolding. With each cut, you separate the potential from the process. What was once a hole becomes a piece of something new. The line that was drawn is now followed, and the fabric moves with the cut. No hesitation, no interruption, only transformation. And with this final cut, the fabric has begun its new life. From idea to form, it is ready for what comes next. Because scuba is thick and springy, it helps to use fine pins or ballpoint pins. Pin around the edges, placing pins every few inches, more frequently around the curves and corners. Keep your pins within the seam allowance if possible to avoid leaving visible marks. Don't worry about using a lot of pins. It's better to be secure than to have the fabric shift. I use a longer, thicker thread for basting stitch, so it's easy to remove later. A contrasting color is often best because it will stand out against my fabric. Remember, basting stitches are meant to be temporary, so there's no need to worry about them being perfectly neat. Just focus on keeping the stitches consistent in length. Basting stitch helps hold everything in place. No more worrying about shifting fabric. This simple step ensures all the pieces align just right before the sewing machine takes over. It's the calm before the stitching storm, giving you the confidence to move forward with precision. Now the basting stitch is done, and it's time to head to the sewing machine to lock everything into place. I use blue tip needle for stretchy fabric like scuba. It's also known as a ballpoint needle, and its rounded tip is perfect for gliding through stretchy knit fabric without causing snags or runs or skip stitches or even holes. Let's get the bobbin ready to go. Place the bobbin into the compartment with the thread unwinding in the right direction. Most machines require the bobbin to spin counterclockwise. Everything is set up. It's time to start sewing. Begin by gently lowering the presser foot to hold the fabric in place. Let's take a look what I've got so far. The front bodies, and the left, and the right back bodies. Look at this. I can't believe it. Almost an exact match to Jenny's iconic button Chanel Met Gala outfit. And the best part, I found it on Shopee. Who knew shopping online could bring such amazing finds? From the sleek, tailored buttons to the classic elegance. This piece has that Chanel vibe, but without the designer price tag. It's proof that you don't always have to break the bank to recreate your favorite looks. Let's see how this fits in with my own style. Moving on to the overskirt. I noticed that Jenny's overskirt color is black, while the lining is white. And this white tablecloth, once a pristine centerpiece at birthday party, now carries a legacy of memories. Together, these pieces of fabric are about to undergo a transformation. Place your pattern pieces on the fabric, aligning the grain line arrow with the grain of the fabric. This ensures the garment hangs and stretches the right way. Reimagine. Repurpose. These forgotten satin are ready to step into a new role. A role that's nothing less than a spectacular. From the remnants of the past, a new creation begins to emerge. Ready to become something fresh, something beautiful, something far beyond their original purpose. In every stitch, there's a story waiting to be told. What may seem like an ordinary black tablecloth, worn, aged, and weathered by time, holds within it the potential for something extraordinary. To give structure to the bottom of the overskirt, I'm using crinoline. It adds that subtle volume and helps the fabric hold its shapes beautifully. Before attaching it, I melt the raw edge of the crinoline with an instant stick. The gentle heat seals the fibers, preventing fraying and keeping the crinoline neat and in perfect form. To finish it, I carefully cover them with bias tape. This not only gives the garment a clean, polished look, but also prevent it scratching the skin. I align the bias tape along the edge, then stitch it down securely for a smooth and durable finish. I pin the crinoline at the pretty side of the skirt. It's a lightweight but structured material, being positioned along the hemline of the overskirt. I take great care to align the edges, making sure the crinoline's bottom edge lines up precisely with the overskirt's hem. I begin by securing the crinoline with a few pins at key points, ensuring that both layers are even. With each pin, I smooth out any wrinkles in the fabric to maintain a smooth, clean line. Flip it over and sew here to finish the overskirt. For the pants, I think I will switch it to my black mini skirt that I've already had in my closet. for my comfort, as I am in Indonesia right now, where summer lasts all year. Stunning white camellia flower design featured on Jenny's Met Gala 2025 top. The delicate flowers are a key element, and I'm going to recreate this intricate design to match her outfit. First, I begin by cutting out the petal pattern from paper. It's all about precision here, as each petal has to capture that fluid, natural shape that makes the flower feel alive. Once the pattern is ready, I move on to the next step, tracing it onto unused polyester lining I've kept from previous project. Recycling material is always a good way to stay sustainable while creating something new. Carefully, I trace the pattern, ensuring each petal is evenly spaced and accurately shaped. This part of the process is all about attention to detail. I use fusible interfacing to make the fabric thicker. Every curve, every angle has to be just right to get that perfect flower effect Jenny's top is known for. Once the petals are traced, it's time to move on to cutting, stitching, and assembling, step by step, until I have something that matches the elegance and intricacy of Jenny's Met Gala look. As I begin, I carefully pin the petals together, right sides facing each other, aligning their edges perfectly. With a steady hand, I sew them down, ensuring each stitch is secure. Next, I make small incision along the curved seam to allow for a smooth flip. Gently, I turn the petals inside out, pressing them with the iron, creating a crisp, polished edge. Finally, I gather all the petals one by one and begin assembling them into a delicate, lifelike camellia flower. Each petal falls into place, bringing the bloom to life with every step. For the flower bud, I'm using white satin ribbon. I fold the ribbon at any name card available at my house. I need 4 pieces of them. And melt the edges with fire to prevent fraying. Now, let's watch the process of creating the bud's petal. Pay close attention to the steps as each detail brings us closer to shaping the perfect starting point. Each petal carefully sewn, the flower begins to take shape. I start with 4 delicate petals, gently folding and stitching each one. Every needle pass is deliberate, steady and precise, bringing structure to soft fabric. Once all 4 petals are complete, I gather them together at their base, arranging them into a tight cluster. It's in this moment that the bud begins to bloom, not from nature, but from craftsmanship. I wrap the gathered petals snugly, adjusting their placement until they resemble a perfect flower bud. I take a length of black satin ribbon, smooth, lustrous, and deep as ink. I fold the ribbon into a classic bow. This bow isn't just an accessory, it is the foundation, the base that will cradle the camellia bloom above it. And yes, I'm adding those iconic pearl details by hand. This part took forever, but it's worth it. Jenny's details were everything, and I want to honor that. This is the closest I've ever gotten to replicating a culture looks. It's not Chanel, but it's handmade. And honestly, that feels even more special. Thanks for watching me stitch my way through Jenny's Met Gala 2025 look. If you love this DIY, hit that like button. Comment which celeb dress I should sew next. And subscribe for more fashion challenges. Maybe Zendaya's armor look next. Remember, if you can dream it, you can sew it. See you in the next one.